Okay, so hi, I'm Kierra, and my topic is on the legalization of marijuana. So the national debate for legalizing marijuana has gone on for way too many years. I think that the benefit is very simple. My main claim will be that the legalization of marijuana would boost the economy. Today I'm going to talk about how it would cut down on crime, increase the amount of jobs and business available to everyone, and provide our government with more money instead of losing money. So the first claim is that legalizing marijuana would cut down on crime, which means that there would be less money needed for prisons. On the petty crime side, almost 800,000 people were arrested for possession or sales of marijuana in 2011. This would be eliminating, this would be eliminated, meaning a lot of empty jail cells. While private prisons would suffer from this, only 8% of the prisons in the country are privatized, meaning the lower costs to taxpayers would exceed the lower revenues from private prison companies. And inmates incarcerated on marijuana-related charges cost U.S. prisons $1 billion annually, and these would be eliminated if marijuana was legalized. My second claim is that legalizing marijuana would provide another source of income and business, which means that there would be more jobs and less unemployment. It's tough to find an exact number of jobs. Many jobs are supported by the budding industry, including recommending physicians and physician's assistants, private security, delivery drivers, and dispensary operators. Plus, those record of using and dealing marijuana may find an easier time getting a job. So those with like criminal records with marijuana on there would find it easier to get a job because it would be legalized. The Sacramento News and Review saw a big boost in ad revenue when it offered advertising space for more than 60 medical marijuana dispensaries, enabling the publication to hire 3 additional employees. So newspapers can put out ads for medical marijuana dispensaries to use their space in their newspaper, and that provides them with more money, which they can hire more employees. The hydroponic marijuana growing supply chain, We Grow, opens a new store, and it creates an estimated 75 jobs indirectly. And then there would be more money available for people. So marijuana users could see substantial savings due to marijuana legalization, as prices could fall by up to 100 times, perhaps freeing up some cash to spend on other things. Marijuana is elastic, meaning it's very sensitive to price. So if the supply is higher, then the price is lower. My next claim is the legalization instead of prohibition of marijuana could bring in more money. So marijuana is a good that can be highly taxed because it is a luxury. Marijuana is used about 6.9% of the population, and it is expected to rise drastically if legalized. But if the current usage stays steady, however, and similar rates of taxation of tobacco, that would be approximately $6.6 billion in new revenue for the state. And then this goes back to Colorado legalizing marijuana. In 2011, they pulled in $5 million in sales taxes for medical marijuana businesses. And this also leaves more money for the government. So the government would save an estimated $13.7 billion on prohibition enforcement costs and tax revenue by legalizing marijuana. So the government spends a lot of money on the prohibition of marijuana, and all that money could be saved if marijuana was legalized. So marijuana growers account for $14 billion a year in sales in California, making it the state's most valuable cash crop. So it's actually surpassing tobacco. And if the government legalized marijuana, it would save $7.7 billion annually by not having to enforce the current prohibition on the drug, because that's super expensive. And in this report, it also added that the legalization would save an additional $6 billion per year if the government taxed marijuana at rates similar to alcohol and tobacco. And the marijuana industry is estimated to be a $100 billion industry. And giving money to the government and people is proven to boost the economy. Thank you.
All right, the propositions clearly identified. The secondary issues, you lay them out at the beginning, but the phrasing is not always as a claim. And in the body of the speech, it felt like there were like 3 extra claims that you didn't have originally that got developed during the presentation. You did signpost those points when you were in the speech, so it didn't become entirely confusing to follow, but it does seem like you are going through a whole laundry list of potential benefits instead of developing those benefits. The biggest issue that I see is the evidence that's being used. I didn't really get source citations for most of the evidence. I got references to a couple of examples and some statistical information, but all the stuff about revenues, for instance, is mostly asserted. You've got a single example on the newspaper, and I don't know where that example came from. The billion-dollar cost of imprisoning people, that sounds like it probably is an accurate number. The 800,000 people who are arrested every year, that doesn't mean that 800,000 people are imprisoned every year. So I think that there's a little bit of conflating of those arguments. You want to be careful about that. There was some factual data about Colorado getting $5 million in tax revenue from the taxing of the medical dispensaries. Again, I didn't get a source citation on that. There's a lot of stuff that's being presented as it's a fact when there's not any source citation on it. I'm not saying that it's not a fact, but I don't know that it's true, and I need some information that suggests that it's true. I do think that you acknowledge that there's going to be a likely increase in consumption of marijuana, and that is going to probably be a link that gives the respondent an opportunity to talk about whether marijuana use is conducive to a healthy economy. Not the other issues that you're talking about, but whether or not the consequence of a legalization would have this benefit to productivity, for instance. All right. Thank you.